It's extremely urgent that you wake up. 2026, you need to understand at a deep level what is about to happen macro and microeconomically. I know we're so caught up in the 4-year cycle, the bull run, the bear market, hype and hopium and price predictions, but we've helped thousands of people since 2020. And the number one thing I'm seeing absolutely destroying people's portfolio is hopium, hype, and price predictions. You have to understand at a deep level how to beat inflation and how the micro and macroeconomics work. 2026, if you understand anything about Reaganomics, you understand anything about what Trump's about to do, good, bad, or indifferent, you would understand that fixed supply assets are the way to go. So your job is not to try to get rich quick. Your job is to beat inflation. What's about to happen as we go into 2026, you're going to have low interest rates in a printing of money environment, a bond market that is destroyed. 3 of the major countries are buried in debt. Japan, 500% debt to income ratio. China, 300% debt to income ratio. And America's at 120% debt to income ratio with a lot of room to print a lot of money. So if you understand Reaganomics, deregulation, low interest rates, innovation, capitalism, it's about to get wild. But here's the thing. Study Ray Dalio at a deep, deep level. Everything cycles. We're at the end of an era. And I'm here to tell you, by 2030, there will be winners and there will be losers. The 1% are going to become extremely, extremely wealthy over the next 3 to 4 years. The middle class is going to monetize a ton of debt and is going to appear that you are wealthier. It's going to appear that there's economic growth. But the only thing that's happening, remember, 10% of the population owns almost all of the market. What's going to happen is Americans are going to have 50-year mortgages. They're going to be even more buried in debt, and their dollar is going to be worth less. So your job is not to pick the next best investment. Your job is to learn how to beat inflation. That's how you figure out what to invest in. So we're going to watch a beautiful video from Raoul Paul. I love his content. He talks about the banana zone, and I 1000% agree with him at a deep level that 2026 is going to be extremely bullish. And I can't explain it any better than this interview that he did. So this is Raoul Paul, why 2026 will be crypto's best year. I completely agree with it. Okay. Now, this year's been a little funky. Obviously, when Trump dropped tariffs, we had the 10-10 2025. I told you guys there was a black swan coming. There will be more. There will be more black swans. But remember, buy when it's red, sell when it's green. You have to build conviction. As you notice, I don't change my narrative, guys. I put out exactly what I'm invested in. You can't FUD me in. You can't FUD me out. When everybody's panicking, I'm buying. When everybody's trying to get rich quick, I'm selling you my crypto. I'm securing it. When everybody panics again, I buy it with leverage. So listen to this interview. It's going to go for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to do some narration around it. I highly recommend you go watch the full interview. And then what we'll do is I'll share with you exactly what I'm doing. Let's dive right in.
Absolute bottom. But that dip zone has been forming from November, because after October, we had the November pullback, and then into the end of November, we had the final sell-off. And somewhere here feels like it's there. Now, looking forwards, if I'm right in all of the work that I do about liquidity, we've got a flood of liquidity coming. So right now, the system is telling us the banking system is constrained and it keeps causing spikes in money market stuff. There's not enough money around. Mm-hmm. The Fed know it. They stopped QT. Okay, one job done. But the other job is they've got to get through year-end funding. Mm-hmm. There's not enough liquidity for the banks to roll their debts and to do their balance sheet work. So the Fed are going to have to inject some liquidity. It'll be some 3-letter acronym based in the repo market or whatever, but they have to do it. But they made a huge announcement most people don't understand, which is the ESLR, another nice acronym. And the supplementary leverage ratio means nothing. They never do these things. What they've basically said is what we used to say, US treasuries carry this much risk. And so on your balance sheet, we're going to penalize you for holding them.
Mm.
But then the less risky asset, so they've got this tug of war with the banks of what they want to do. And they've just said, you know what? We're going to shrink how much risk you have to put on your balance sheet by owning treasuries. What does that mean? It means the banks will buy a lot of treasuries.
They're forcing, so this is happening right now. I've shared this with you guys. The banks are being forced right now to buy treasuries.
Which is what the government needs to do, is sell treasuries. That's their job right now.
So basically, if the simple part of it, guys, the Fed prints money, they buy debt, and they sell it to us as the safest investment. You have to wake up, guys. That's your dollar. That's the dollar. Everything's debt. That's it. That's why I invented my capital DR system. It beats any economic cycle. I don't care what you invest in. Mine are based on fixed supply assets and beating inflation and the inflationary dollar.
So the banks can use treasuries. You're hearing Scott Bessent saying, we want the money to flow to Wall Street, Main Street, and not just Wall Street. What he's saying is, we don't want the central bank to do QE. Every moron on Twitter goes, see, they're tightening. They don't want anything. What they're saying is, oh, we're going to let the treasury print money instead and stuff it down the necks of the banking system. And the banks, being so good at what they do, lever it up and lend it out.
Boom. Pay attention. They lever it up and lend it out. So all we're doing, guys, is everybody's interest rates are going to come down. Everybody's going to monetize more debt. There's going to be more income in your bank account because your interest is lower, because there's only interest in the system. You're earning it, okay, or you're paying it. That's it. So there's going to be more money in people's bank accounts. And what are the people going to do? We don't need stimulus checks. We need financial literacy. They're not going to put it into investments. They're going to buy bigger flat screen TVs, nicer iPhones, nicer cars, bigger houses. Now they can do 50-year mortgages. They'll get $1 million home instead of a $600,000 home, or instead of a $200,000 home, they'll get a $400,000 home, and they really can't afford it. What should happen is they should raise rates and let the system reset itself. That's what should happen. And then everything would go into an even playing field. People would buy what they could afford. Everything would reset, and everybody would build from an even playing field. But that's not how the system works. So until you re-educate yourself on how the debt system works, you'll always be on the wrong side of the quadrant. You have to stop borrowing against your future self and then taking your income, which is debt that is deflating every single year. So you have a deflating dollar and you have debt that is a liability that goes down in value. You're never going to get ahead. It doesn't matter if you have $1 million in your 401k. When you retire, you get taxed, and that dollar that you get taxed on is actually worth less. You have to transmute it into assets that beat inflation.
Or provide liquidity. So the entire apparatus of managing the debts is moving from the Fed to the government. So the government creates its own buyer for its own treasuries. It's an easier way to debase currency. But the ESLR changes are important because the system's screwed up because of these changes after the financial crisis.
Now, do you see why Trump media is, I think, top 7 in Bitcoin treasuries? Do you see why Howard Lutnick, right? Cantor, his son Brandon, they have Cantor, a Bitcoin company. They're connected to 21 Capital. That is a number 3 treasury through XXX. Do you see why BlackRock is a number 2 holder in Bitcoin? Do you see why BlackRock is a number 3 holder in Strategy B, which is the largest Bitcoin treasury in the world? So why is everybody connected in the White House to Bitcoin? Guys, and I'm not saying you need to go buy Bitcoin. I'm just giving you the reality. Why do you think Cynthia Loomis says they're going to revalue 1973, 1974 paper gold and take that profit and put it into the Bitcoin strategic reserve and do it in a budget neutral way? It's a new system coming in, guys. It's the only way. They're going to deflate the shit out of your US dollar and suck it up into stable coins, cryptocurrency, blockchain, and things like XRP are going to move liquidity at the speed of light.
So that was announced, rushed through, because I've been writing about it and I was like, they'll announce it sometime in Jan, Feb that they're going to implement it. No, came through straight out, done. We've agreed it with the banks. We're doing it January 1st. I'm like, wow. So that tells you they understand the game.
Right there.
The moment it was announced, and Steve Mirren had been pushing this thing through, the moment it was announced, Steve Mirren published another paper that day and said, good job, not enough. We need to reduce all risk weighting on treasuries. So 100% no risk for treasuries. So now there's an unlimited purchasing of bonds that can happen.
Crazy.
When needed. And you can really expand the money supply. And that, because it's credit, ends up going to ordinary people.
Mm-hmm.
They also buy more bonds, which lowers the long end of the bond market, which lowers the mortgage rates, lowers the government funding. It's a big deal. We're talking, this is going to end up being
massive,
3 to 4 trillion, maybe 3 to 5 trillion of extra liquidity.
Okay, so think about this. What is the smart money doing? Just let's take out price predictions, all this bullshit hype, logic. Warren Buffett closed out of a bunch of cash. Everybody was like, what the hell is going on? His biggest cash position in 2024. Comes into 2025, goes into Lennar Homes, and makes a big move into Google AI, right? Through Alphabet. And then a big move into Japan. Why? Because they're bringing interest rates up. They're going to bring the dollar down, and that's going to push people into fixed supply assets, guys. That's why gold, silver, Bitcoin, I think the XRP, the top 4, the top 5 are going to do very well in cryptocurrency. I think XRP is going to decouple in 2026, being a utility token. I'm so bullish on 2026, guys. I'm super bullish. I'm bullish on 2025. It's been a great year. I know people don't get really upset when I say that. The fact that we've been able to buy XRP under $2 almost this whole year is mind-blowing to me. Absolutely mind-blowing. I never thought I would get XRP under $2. You have to change your mindset. You have to. And I've been preaching this for years. That's how we got wealthy. We don't sit there and wait for saviors. We build empires. We build systems. We build processes.
Oh, and then we've got rate cuts. Oh, and then on top of that, we've got $1.5 trillion probably in direct banking system deposits coming out of the new stimulus. I mean, don't forget, every single service worker in America gets paid on tips. They're all zero tax. So you're freeing up a ton of disposable income, mortgage rates come down, all of that. So that unleashes the business cycle. So you've got a lot of liquidity things happening all at the same time. In the middle of that, you've got the Clarity Act, whether it comes end of this year or by mid-Jan, it's coming. And that allows everybody to use crypto because it will have been defined and how to use it.
Let's go. Okay, so I'll leave it right there. So think about that. You got the Clarity Act. You got interest rates coming down. You got liquidity. Banks buying bonds. We have a liquidity crisis. You have Japan raising rates. There's so many factors that are coming on board, guys. It is going to be Reaganomics on steroids. But what I'm warning you guys about is you gotta take the middle ground. You have to take the middle ground. Listen to me. I know it's not exciting on my channel. It's not hype. It's not hopium. I'm not going to bullshit you guys. I'm going to share with you guys how I went from completely broke in 2020 with $30,000. I had 3,000 in crypto. Then I got to 30, and then they took away my business. And I finally got fed up, and I started studying how billionaires operate. How do multimillionaires and billionaires operate? They don't operate like the general public. They don't use debt to buy things they can't afford to impress people they don't like. They use debt to buy assets. They watch economic cycles. They watch inflation. When the dollar is losing value, they transition into assets that are gaining in value. They move their money through the system. So I built Capital DR, and I would love to meet you in person. I want to share with you guys. VIP did sell out. We do still have general admission tickets on February 6th and 7th. If you would like to learn Capital DR live and in person with me, Coach JV, Gonzo, we got May Warner, we got Coach JV, Jeremy, my CFO. So you got our COO, May. You got me, the CEO. You got Jeremy. You got Jackie. We got Johnny Crypto. We are going to be teaching the Capital DR strategy live and in person here at the 3T Warrior Academy. Cash flow strategies, appreciation. Well, let's go through this together. This is my Capital DR strategy. Okay, let me walk you through it. Okay, so this is what I focus on. Cash flow. Cash is trash. It's absolute trash. So I build cash flow through personal income. It took me a long time to get here. I've been at it since 2017. I built multiple ecosystems. I followed the Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow quadrant, richest man in Babylon, and that's how I built my Capital DR system. It's soon to be in about a week a trademark system where I can beat any economic cycle. Okay. You don't need to pick the next best crypto. You need a system. And it's not being married to one asset. That's how you get wrecked. You think XRP is going to be your savior or Bitcoin's going to be your savior. If you don't have a system, then if you get $1 million, you're going to get wrecked. If you have a system and you get $1 million, you can multiply that richest man in Babylon. And that's what I created. So cash flow is C. Okay. I create cash flow with my income because I'm getting paid in your debt. You're getting paid in my debt. That's all it is. Okay. So I take income and I turn it into cash flow. My first step in my cash flow strategies, I take 10% of my income and I put it into cash generating dividends, creating a brother or sister. Okay. So my first that comes in goes into creating a brother or sister. Now I have the income. Then I have a brother or sister coming off of the dividends. Those are passive 24. I get paid 24 hours a day, right? For my businesses, I created MRR businesses. So I have cash flow and income coming in. Okay. I invest first and I spend last. My housing expense took me a while to get disciplined to doing this. And this is how I did it. 15%. So if you see my lifestyle change, my house and my expenses are 15% of my income. I had to stay lean and mean to get there, guys. So I just made a real estate move, and that is still 15% of my overall income coming in because I invest first and I spend second. That's what made me financially free. I consider rich, not wealthy. Wealthy is very different. $1 million will wreck you. $5 million, you have a lot of money, but you can F it up. Okay. I'm in between the lot of money and I'm in the F it up stage right now. That I'm just being transparent. That's where I'm at, the F it up stage. When you start to get to the 10 to 20 million, the 8 figures, okay, we became multimillionaires. But when you start to get to the 10 to the 20 to the 30 million, that's where you have to build an empire. So we're already operating in that model. Okay. So we have cash flow. The cash flow goes into assets that are appreciating assets that are deflationary investments. My exact portfolio is XRP number 1, Bitcoin number 2, WFI number 3, WLFI. We got Solana, HBAR, XLM, and VeChain. I have many others that I'm going to consolidate into the top 4, which would be XRP, Bitcoin, WFI, and Solana. On the stock side, it's American Bitcoin, ABTC, and XXI. I'm not gatekeeping here. I'm telling you my exact portfolio. Then when my assets appreciate Bitcoin, we're never touching Bitcoin. Okay. That is going to be in the leverage category over here. Okay. So when my assets go up, I pull and I put first step is into protection, cash value, life insurance. Okay. Nobody can touch life insurance. Nobody. So as everybody comes collapsing down when the markets go red, because they always will, there's been 30 market collapses in the last 200 years of markets. You will experience another one. It's not different this time. So when everybody comes collapsing down, I have most of my principal protected. And then I can leverage against my principal to do what? To buy more crypto at a very good price when everybody's running from it, to buy more cash generating dividends and assets. So when I appreciate, I put money into more dividends, 10% goes into dividends, max funding my policies into stable coins to buy the red. And I just repeat the process. And DR is de-risk, 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 and beat the hurdle rate. That's all I'm doing. That's why I'm so calm. That's why I'm so stoic. That's why I can't get flooded in. That's why I can't get flooded out. I got out of the hype in 2020 to 2021. Every single date, every single price prediction, all the bullshit that was put out there never came true. You know, people told me that, Nasara Jasara, our debt was going to be wiped out in 2020 and 2021 and 2022 and 2023. But they just keep moving the needle forward, right? XRPs, there's going to be a flip of a switch on this date. And when ISO goes live and XRP is going to go to this and XR and this and that. And it's like, it's exhausting. Then I started to study billionaires. That's not how it's done. They literally celebrate red. 10, 2025 was a celebration for people who are fundamental investors. And it was a complete disaster for people who are waiting for price predictions. So if you made it this far, I want to ask you a question, and it can be rhetorical. You can comment, what is your system? If I asked you, what is your system? What's going into your account? What's coming out of your account? What's your investment strategy? What is your investment thesis? I'm a Warren Buffett style investor. I'm disciplined. I dollar cost average. I buy when it's red and I sell when it's green. I don't believe hype. I don't believe hopium. I look at facts, figures, numbers, logic, and I invest in companies and technologies that are going to change the world. And I hold the line long enough to compound. And when I compound, I pull profits and I create a brother or sister. That's it. And I'm willing to watch paint dry. So if I asked you what's your system spiritually, physically, and financially, what would you say? And I'll tell you what, men, head of household, that's your job. Your job is to get disciplined physically, be able to protect. Spiritually, you should be praying over your family and have a spiritual walk. And I believe in God and Jesus Christ with all of my heart. And I'm proud to say that on my channel. And I will stand on that. I am here because of God and Jesus Christ, the way, the truth, and the life. No other way. That is where all my success comes from. And I will honor that. And I will look in your eyes and say, that is the truth. No, I don't care what someone says in my comments. That is the truth. God and Jesus Christ is the reason why I'm here. That's my spiritual walk. And I stand on that. And financially, I'm extremely, extremely disciplined. I dollar cost every day, every single day. I dollar cost every single week. I invest and then I spend. And I create what's called an FU account. So if my family's out having fun, that is FU money. It does not affect my family's future and my legacy. And damn well do I take care of my ecosystem. The people who have stuck with me are getting paid, and they're getting paid very, very well. Because that's how winning is done. As a man, you should make yourself last for your family, and your ecosystem can be first. And freedom comes from owning your own ecosystem. Freedom comes from having your own cash flow. So no man or woman can ever tell you what to do or what to say. So if you made it this far, I truly, truly love you. And from my family's heart to yours, Merry Christmas. What's tomorrow? Christmas Eve. We'll keep our videos going. I'm going to do a little Christmas video for you guys. I just love you guys very much, and I appreciate you with all my heart. I appreciate those who have stuck with me through this, but I want you to learn to stick with yourself. I want you to be like an anchor for your family. I want you to be like an oak tree for your family. And the biggest compliment in the world is when people say, God, you say the same thing every single day, and people should be saying that to you. Because if you're changing your narrative every 15 minutes, you're a risk to your family. You're a liability to your family. Nobody wants to hear in your family, head of household, that 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out. 1 minute you're exercising, 1 minute you're not. 1 minute you're eating healthy, 1 minute you're not. You always have an excuse. Don't wait till January. Start today. Go on a walk today. Eat healthy today. Oh, it's the holidays. That's an excuse. Get disciplined. Get consistent. Be the rock for your family. That's how winning is done. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. As we always say, Warriors, rise. Get your shit together. Let's go.